Thank you for tuning in to The Management Game, the podcast for managers who don't know what the hell they're doing. We're your hosts, Vikki Brown and Suzanne Ferris.
Hi, this is episode 2, self-awareness. What we talked about last time was the lack of management training that is available when a person transitions from an individual contributor into a management role.
And what those challenges are, because a lot of times managers don't know what they don't know, and they're coming into an entirely new atmosphere.
So jumping off on that, Vikki, what does a manager need to know to be successful? Where would you start?
Well, my first rule of management is knowing yourself. I am really big on self-awareness and how getting them to understand how they react emotionally, physically, mentally to everything that's going on around them, because it's a lot to take in.
And some of the ways, I absolutely agree, some of the ways to gain that kind of self-awareness is what? What has worked for you?
I do a lot of different things, but one of the things I personally do is I'm constantly checking in with myself. If something makes me angry, if something makes me sad, I want to know what I'm feeling as opposed to what I'm thinking and how everything is reacting to that. It's kind of difficult to explain, but I'm very cognizant of what's going on in my body and my mind before I put it out that maybe somebody's disappointed me or wronged me or even made me feel great. What is my role in that situation?
And I would agree with that. That's a very internalized look.
That's the word.
One of the other ways that you can gain that self-awareness that I've seen work real successful with people is to ask others. Ask your friends, your family, people that you know are going to be honest with you to comment on you in a range of different kind of situations.
Right. So now we're talking about a more formal assessment, if you will. One of the activities that we use in Braven, where I'm a leadership coach, it's a career accelerator. We have the students actually go out and send emails to families, friends, colleagues, and ask them what are their observations about the student. How do you see me? How do you see my reactions? And this starts a more formal external reflection that the student can look at and see them as others, see themselves, I should say, as others see them.
And really what you're doing is an informal 360 assessment.
Right.
In that kind of an exercise. You know, something else that is free and is a great resource that people, I have found people are just amazed that it's available, is online assessments, such as a light or abbreviated version of Myers-Briggs is available. All you have to do is just Google management assessments, and they just start popping up.
I actually did that yesterday and came up with a bunch of assessments done regarding EQ, management tools, self-awareness, and these were done by university professors and university studies. So there's a lot of information out there. All you have to do is Google management assessment tools, and a great deal of information comes up and some tests.
When you do these kind of things, something that I think bears speaking about is you have to be open to hearing from friends and family and hearing from these assessments some real insights about yourself, and to accept that feedback as a gift. Try not to get defensive about it. Try not to try and game the assessment to get the answer you think you're supposed to get.
Yeah.
But just take it all in as feedback. Sit with it for a while, and then determine whether or not it's something you want to incorporate into who you are.
Right. And one of the other things about the self-assessments, I would say do several of them on the same subjects, because what you're looking for is not so much validation, but you're looking for patterns. If you take 2 or 3 assessments on, I don't know, self-awareness, certain things should crop up in each one. And that gives you a clue. So you can do the assessments. The other thing that you can do, self-reflection is so important. Mm-hmm. And finding out who you are. I have a series of exercises that I will give to clients, and they're writing exercises. If I'm short on time, I will have them pick one. But if we're in multiple coaching sessions, I'll give these out. And one of the first ones, I ask them to go back in their minds to their high school graduation. But I want them to go back as they are now. They've lived their lives, they've gained some wisdom. And I ask them, what would they tell their high school selves about life and what they've learned after all of those years?
I can't imagine how insightful that would be. That would just be so valuable to be able to look back at that 17, 18-year-old and give them some advice as a 30-year-old or a 40-year-old.
Well, here's something really interesting. I gave this assignment to a 14-year-old, and I asked her to go back and talk to her younger self. And when we went over it, one of the first things she said she would tell her younger self at 14 was to be patient. To take time to listen, to understand that it's not the end of the world when things go wrong. It was very insightful for someone that young.
Yeah. And then hopefully she'll reread that same advice to herself when she's 24 and 44.
It was pretty. Yeah. It was pretty great.
How neat!
Another
that sounds great.
Another thing that I want. So one of the other exercises that I have people do, I bring them forward in time a little bit, and I have them to imagine their wedding day, whether they're married or not. And there's something traditional about weddings. There's always the toast from the audience, and I ask clients, what are people saying about them? Because one of the great things about many weddings is people will be truthful in their love for you, in their admiration, what they're proud of. And the fact that they've been drinking makes it easier for them to get these emotions out. It's very real, it's very genuine. And so I want the client to understand how others see them in that very loving, giving, genuine moment.
And I can imagine another scenario that you probably have already used too, is what might people say, not at a wedding, but at a funeral?
That's the third assignment that I give them. And it's pretty enlightening. People get to think about how they've lived their lives and what is important to them and the legacy that they want to leave behind.
That's really kind of cool. you can document some of this stuff. You can keep some online journals, or some other kind of mechanism to document these, so you can go back as you go through this transition of becoming a super great manager, and look at what people said at the very beginning of this process for you.
Yeah, it's very powerful. But one of the other things about becoming more self-aware, it's not all a cognitive exercise. There are other things that I think people need to do, and that is checking in to what their emotional or their physical triggers are. Have they taken any necessary medication for the day? Have they eaten? Have they gotten good sleep? These are all things that can affect our relationships with others if we're not aware of them.
And literally affect how we interact with other people.
Exactly.
If we have the patience that this 14-year-old wanted herself to have, if we have the the energy to engage in a conversation, or are we just tired because we didn't get good night's sleep?
Right. Or if we've been working all day on a hard project and we haven't had lunch, and a direct report comes in and gives us something that we think they should solve, are we going to be patient, talk them,
Right.
find out what they need, or are we just going to snap at them?
Yeah.
Why didn't you do this? Oh, I'm hungry. Maybe if I got something to eat.
And what you're talking about there is recognizing our own physical triggers,
Right.
and where we are, in this physical space. Another big aspect of knowing yourself is recognizing where you are emotionally.
Absolutely. It's a big part of it, yeah.
And I mean, we'll go deeper into this in another conversation, but this is a major component of emotional intelligence. And, and like I said, it will be something that we talk about at a future date. So I fully agree with what you said at the beginning, Vikki, is making sure that we start off with knowing who we are, knowing our own strengths and our areas for development. And this just first big step of self-awareness.
I want to go back and touch a little bit on what you said about emotional intelligence. There's a book that I use. It's called Emotional Intelligence 2.0 by Travis Bradberry and Jean Greaves. And the thing I like about this particular assessment is when you get the book, you're given a code. You use this code, you go onto their website, and you take a test that sort of outlines your emotional intelligence. And it's a very simple book to use. It gives you some steps that you can take to increase the areas, but you can then later on go back, use the same code, retake the test, and track your progress. And part of being self-aware is knowing when you are progressing or regressing, and you can make those mid-course corrections to help you get through either that day or that week or whatever's going on. Self-awareness is a constant, ongoing process. So I don't want people to think that, oh, gee, now I'm self-aware, I'm good to go. Because it's going to change day by day.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it is being present, being very much in the moment with yourself.
Right. And one of the things we can do to make sure we're present, this is something I'm a bit of a stickler on, is differentiating thoughts and feelings. A lot of times people will say, I don't know, give me something.
I feel hungry. No, that's
No,
not
no.
a good example.
No, they may say something like, I think you're mean, right? Or I feel like you're mean. And what they actually are saying is, I believe you are being mean. I think you are mean, but I feel hurt. I feel angry because I believe you are being mean.
Or I feel angry because of this type of behavior that I'm seeing you do.
Once we can sort those two out and talk about our emotions when we feel and our beliefs when we think, I think that goes a long way in helping us.
Yes.
Next week, we'll be talking about managerial styles. Every manager has a style.
What's yours?
So that's our show for today, and don't forget to like us on your favorite social media platform. See you next week.